Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Lords of Limited. My name is Ben Werney, and joining me on the line, as always, Mr. Ethan Zookeeper Meccan Sachs. Ethan, we're going to be chatting some red this episode. Talk to me about this
Yeah.
little guy.
Oh my gosh. Zookeeper Meccan just starts it off right for the red curves. Someone was talking, I had my stream title last night. I streamed for a couple hours and stream title was like, please let me draft red. And someone was like, oh, I like the Kavu rare, but what uncommons make you want to draft red? I was like, not uncommons, baby. Commons.
Commons is where
Commons
it's
make me
at.
want to draft red. Yeah. So we'll talk about perhaps a misunderstood color, though I was trying to force red and ended up banned 3 decks in a row. So who knows what's going on out there?
Yeah,
It's
it's not a great look for red.
Well, it just truly was not open. I mean, hard to draft the cards if they're not there, you know? What's going on with you in the world of Edge of Eternities and Magic? Or is anything going on?
No, there's some things going on. I played the arena play-in for
Oh, right.
the Pro Tour qualifier. I opened a busted sealed deck. It was very fun. Won all 4 rounds, punted at the end because I was 15 minutes late for my niece's birthday party, and I just jump attacked into my opponent's card. So that wasn't great, but I couldn't have played Saturday and Sunday anyway. But it was nice to get my 6,000 gems and play some Magic for stakes. Every time I play Magic for stakes and there's sideboarding, I sideboard well. I just miss sideboarding so much. Several of the rounds, sideboarding was just key. It was clutch. Did a little bit of drafting yesterday, so I've been on the streets, not as much as I would like, but we've been jamming some Eternities when we have time.
Yeah. I'm excited about this episode. I put together some show notes and I just got a very effusive response from you, but I have no idea what your thoughts, feelings, hopes, dreams, concerns are about what I have written down here. So I'm excited to get into the episodes. Let's do a little housekeeping and then we will dive right in. First things first is the Patreon page. Patreon.com/Lords of Limited is where folks can go to give back to the show if they so choose. We got some great perks over at the Patreon page. 2 things we want to shout out. One is access to our Discord, which is just an amazing community of like-minded, limited individuals. And the other thing we want to shout out is our podcast feed, which you get access to at a higher tier on the Patreon. So you get access to this episode a day early ad-free. You also get access to our weekly bonus episode of Lords Unlimited. Last week we dropped that publicly for everybody. Our good friend Jared came on to chat about PTQ winning and prep for those high stakes paper Magic events. So if you're heading to Atlanta to play in the PTQ there, make sure you give that a listen if you didn't check it out. And we also want to make sure we shout out our new patrons the first week that they join. This week, we're welcoming Garithus, Albino Cheese Monkey, Guillermo, Bill, Alex, Burning Effigy, D'Artagnan, John, Tariq, Rico Bib, and Felix. Thank you. We really appreciate your support.
Yeah, cannot say thank you enough. Can also not say thank you enough to FusionGamingOnline.com, who is sponsoring this episode and your go-to destination for Magic the Gathering and more. Whether you're chasing down that last elusive rare, stocking up for draft night, or turning your extra cards into store credit, Fusion has you covered with great prices, fast shipping, and a huge selection. If you're in Canada, it's a no-brainer. And even if you're elsewhere, you might be surprised at how competitive Fusion is on price and speed. Check them out at FusionGamingOnline.com/Lords and let them know that we sent you. That's FusionGamingOnline.com/Lords. Great deals, great selection, delivered fast.
Okay, where to start? Do you have a preference? Do you want to go in order here? Draft log to kick things off, draft log after we've maybe chatted a bit. That feels more right to me, to save a draft log.
Sure, save a draft log. Let's chat.
All right, let's talk red first. Let's do red first because you teed me up as the Zookeeper Meccan. So one of the great things about Mystical Dispute being back in the podcasting streets is that now my group chat with Garrett and Carl is no longer just memes and rants about things in the world and maybe some parenting woes. But we also get to talk about Magic now, which is great because they're back. So I was talking with 2 Duck Cubed, Carl, and one of the things he was mentioning, well, it started off with him saying, what do you think about Bombard, the 2 in a red deal for? And I was like, card's terrible. I am not happy to put it in my deck. And he was like,
harsh.
He also thought that was harsh. But, time is money. I'm just trying to get my point across quickly. I think there's probably a bit more nuance than that, but it's not a card that doesn't pull me into red. It's not a card that I miss usually. Anyway, Bombard is not a card I'm a fan of. And he was like, it's pretty good. He's like, the more sort of Cov Landseeker-y cards you have, or Cov Landseeker specifically, the 3 in a red 4/3 menace.
Correct, because then you can do the kill your thing on 3, crack the lander curve on 5, which is great.
Right. So that started to unlock some things to me, and then he was like, he also mentioned something about, and I think this was attributed to Greg Hatch. I had this thought that Nebula Dragon is a better 7-drop than Pinnacle Killship in those kinds of red decks because you want the like body plus removal, and Pinnacle Killship gives you just the removal, and then you have to like sacrifice some bodies. And if you're doing this sort of Cov Landseeker-y thing, you're probably behind on board a little bit. And Nebula Dragon was a card, and I don't know if your experience has been this way. It's a card that I had never put in a deck, and every time it was cast against me, I was not happy. But I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to put this in my decks. Like, is it effectively a red, green, gold card because it's 7 mana? A lot of my red decks were like black, red, and trying to play like that sort of like small game type of strategy. And then I sort of like was reverse engineering Nebula Dragon and like, okay, how do you get that in your deck? And just realize that at common, red has this kind of absurd curve to it. So if you start with Zookeeper Mechan on 2 as the mana dork, and then you can fire off Orbital Plunge or Cov Landseeker on 3. So Orbital Plunge being the deal 6. If excess damage is dealt, you get a lander. So ideally, either of those will get you a lander that then on turn 4, you can crack and do what you said. Either maybe fire off a Bombard or whatever for 3 mana if you're really trying to maximize all your mana. And then you get to cast, if you're hitting your land drops, you get to cast Nebula Dragon on 5. And that's just commons. And once I realized that you could do this like big red, it sort of felt like big red style from like back in the cube days that we loved, where you'd play like signets as your rampers on 2, like you play your mana rocks on 2 and then skipping ahead and then taking advantage of that mana bump for these big spells. I got kind of excited about red and have been really playing a lot of these kind of big red decks and just absolutely loving them. And I feel like, unless if you would have asked me prior to yesterday when I was trying to force this and couldn't, that it's kind of also in the space of being underdrafted, which I like.
So several questions / comments for you. One, I have played lots of Nebula Dragons and loved it, primarily when I've been base green. I haven't done this base red, big red thing. I will say I've played against the curve of Zookeeper Mechan into Cov Landseeker, especially when your opponent is on the play, is like, oh no. Like I'm about to, bad things are about to happen here. Like Cov Landseeker is a problem if you don't have a removal spell that cleans it up. And even then you got 2 for 1. So that curve is pretty real, in my opinion. And I'm completely intrigued, especially with you teeing this up as cube-esque. And I mean, I know it's not cube-esque, but these are a lot of underappreciated cards, I think, that can be, sounds like the core of a reasonable deck.
A lot of these cards, I mean, maybe Orbital Plunge is an exception, but Zookeeper Mechan, Cov Landseeker, Nebula Dragon are all cards you can get late. And so that's pretty appealing to me. And a lot of the other red cards, like I think Slag Drill, Scrapper, the one red, 1/2, pay 2, tap, sack an artifact or land to draw a card. I think this is pretty good in these ramp controlling versions of red. You know, turn your landers into fresh cards potentially down the line. Oreplate Pangolin is nice as a 2-drop that like can get out of hand. We've talked last week or on prior weeks about my love for All Fate Scroll and the curve of like Oreplate Pangolin on 2, All Fate Scroll on 3, and use its mana to pump the Pangolin is a nice curve to start that off. Territorial Bruntar, the uncommon, the 6 mana, 6/6 reach, landfall, exile cards until you hit a non-land and you can play it this turn, is kind of clunky in my opinion, but it is a card that if you can untap, you're probably going to win. But like I don't love a 6-drop that doesn't have any TB. But you know, if you can untap with it, it's pretty darn good. So it's just a lot of, I think, synergistic cards in red that lead to this sort of big red strategy that is good rather than trying to be aggressive.
Well, so what sort of the real question I want to dial in on is what sort of success have you had with this? Like, has it been competitive? Has it been good? Or have you just been, because lots of times you find a thing and you're like, fine, 2-1ing over and over and over again. Is this, where are we at here with the strategy?
That's fair. I have linked some example big red decks in our Google Doc show notes, which some of our patrons will have access to. And I have had success with it. I have 2 7-win decks here. And I've been messing around in the best of 1 streets almost exclusively this past week. I made it to Mythic, and I've just been basically what I'll do is I'll keep playing in best of 1 until I get in like the percent dumpsters, and then I'll be like, all right, I can't salvage it. Let's go back. But I haven't gotten there yet. So I have two 7x win decks here and a 4-3 that I think slightly underperformed, but also I think the 4-3 is the worst of my decks. I was trying to make use of weapons manufacturing, the 1 in a red enchantment that like makes the artifact
Crush is
tokens.
not good.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I disagree.
I agree. It is good, but it's so narrow. Like I've tried to do it several times, and you have like the perfect storm has to come together. Like even in a deck where it's good, you got to draw all the right pieces. It's tough.
Yeah, and in the right order. This was not a good deck for it. I had like minimum counts. I think I had like 7 or 8 artifacts to trigger it, so it wasn't a lot. But I did have 3 of the scrappers. Anyway, but the other 2 decks are very good. One was a red-green deck, splashing a little white. And like Gene Pollinators do a great impression of Zookeeper Mechan to just be able to start your like ramping curve early. And so the deck is basically just like early curve and then a bunch of 4s. It has double Cov Landseeker, double Orbital Plunge, double Survey Mechan, the 4-mana 1/3 flying hexproof, and then payoff for having differently named lands. And then basically, go ahead.
I think what we should do, I want to talk to you about our deck evaluation, and I want to put these lens under our new deck evaluation system.
Okay, great. So this will be a nice segue to...
Because that'll let people get in-depth into this red-green archetype as well, because we'll go through cards.
Great. Okay. So I put together these show notes, and then one of the things we'll get to later in the show notes is a conversation between a couple members of Team Sanctum of All that was on the Twitch stream Joint Exploration, that my former Arena Champs testing partner, Ryan Condon, linked me, as they are also part of this conversation. And it was about like card evaluation and some things that I had been kicking around, some things that challenged some of my assumptions about drafting this set specifically. And it recalled to me your like something that you do that I only recently was like, oh, I really like that. Something you do when I like share a deck with you when you're like, oh, look at how many first picks are in this deck. Of course it's busted. Like you're burying the lead. Look how many good cards are here. And so I just started thinking about this idea of how to evaluate decks based on that. And I just put together this stupid idea. So I don't know if you like counting cards in Blackjack involves assigning values, basically breaking up the cards in a 52 playing card deck into 3 quadrants or 3 sections and assigning values to them. So cards that are 10 through ace get a negative value. Cards that are neutral that get no value, 7 to 9, and cards that get a +1 are 2 through 6. And so I think I forget if it's the lower the count or the higher the count is, the better the deck is for you. I assume you want more 10s through aces. So I think the higher the count, the better the deck.
Yeah, the deck is hot when there's more 10s through aces.
Great. So then the lower... So then
it's been a long time since I read Bringing Down the House.
Right, yeah, I also read that. So anyway, the lower the count, the higher the count, whatever, is a way to assign a value to the deck of the Blackjack deck. And I thought, what if we took your how many first picks do you have idea and made it a way to evaluate decks? So I just threw something random together, which was +1 for every first pickable card you have, neutral for support cards, and -1 for every card that doesn't matter or isn't good.
Or is out of place, like that.
Maybe
that
out
sort
of place.
Thing. Like, yeah, like that just doesn't fit. Mm-hmm. And then I think it's also the thing I love about this is it's very clean. Like you can use this method and say at the end of it, like my deck's a 12. That's cool. Like I like that as a way to generate discussion about decks. But then there's also going to be great arguments about like, is that first pickable, or like,
right.
does that count as a support card here, and why? Or like this pretty good card is out of place. That's a -1. Like even though it normally might be a 0 or a +1, it's a -1 here. Like I think it's a very clean way to get people to evaluate their decks. I am obsessed with this. I think like even more than you. I saw this in the show notes and I was like, oh my God, this is absolute genius. It's so good. And this is why I want to put your red decks under the lens, because I can't stop my brain from thinking about this ever since I read it last night. And when all these red commons, like the only one that's positive, like that's going to give you a +1 for being a first pickable card is maybe Orbital Plunge.
Orbital Plunge, yeah.
But then, so like that's why I want to know if you're having success with these decks, and then like what
Ah,
number value they're going to get assigned. Like I want to put this through its paces. I want to see. I think this is really
okay,
fun,
yeah.
and potentially has some real staying power.
Well, but I feel like we're about to put it under a lens of something where it's probably going to fall flat because, I mean, if I'm looking at this green red deck, do you want to start with that one, the 7-1?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, we'll look in the 1-drops, and we won't read out what all these cards do, unless they're like maybe higher rarity. But so, Edge Rover is in the 1-drop slot. That's the 1-mana 2/2 reach. I think that's a first pickable card.
I
We're
don't.
starting off.
I don't particularly, but sure. We'll give you a point.
You better pick your battles here. Okay, Edge Rover. Are you going to keep tabs here? Can you keep track?
Yeah, I got a tally system. All right, Edge Rover 1.
Okay, 2 Gene Pollinators. I do not think Gene Pollinator is first pickable.
But belongs here, right? So not pulling the deck
belongs,
down.
so not negative. 2 Slag Drill Scrappers, the one drop that sacks things. Again, not first pickable, but belongs.
But I think there's some amount of like again, maybe this needs some refining. But there's some amount too of like if you get enough cards that belong, they've got to start giving you points. Like maybe like that's a way to account for synergy. Like if you have 10 cards that belong, like it's plus 5 points or something. I don't know. I'm just like throwing out random stuff.
That feels like something you do at the end of evaluating.
Yes. Like
because
if you're scoring a board game, and if you check all these boxes, if you have the longest road, you get
longest road.
2
exactly
extra. You get 2 extra victory points from Settlers of Catan.
There's a Sammy's Curiosity. I don't think that's first pickable. There's
Does that
Focus
belong?
Fire. That belongs. Yeah. Because because you want rectangles for Gene. An artifact. We have a Tezzeret in the 3-drop slots. Tezzeret wants artifacts. Warmaker Gunship wants artifacts. Tanuk wants us to hit multiple land drops. Like the synergy is kind of off the chain in this deck. That's why I feel like this grading system is going to go out the window.
But we're gonna get so many points for the longest road at the end.
We really are. Okay, Focus Fire is our last 1-drop, and I do think that is first pickable.
Whoa, that looks out of place to me here. We're not putting that in the out of place category?
In my deck? No. Why is this out of place?
It's a splash. You think that's good enough to splash and you're happy about having splashed?
Well, it's why I feel like this deck is a bad deck to do, but I'll stop saying that. I have 2 Survey Mechans in the deck and a Sammy Ship's Engineer. So like okay. I want to play this Plains.
Sure.
And it's very trivially easily for me to cast this Focus Fire. I have 2 Genes. Okay. I have a ton of ways to get lands. Like
point for Focus Fire.
Okay. In the 2-drop slot, I think there's only 1 first pickable card in Terrapact Intimidator. The 1 in a red 2/1. Your opponent gets a choice of 2 landers or 2 counters.
Is Zookeeper Mechan's got to be close at this point. If this is like the deck worst, Zookeeper Mechan's one of the most important cards for this archetype, right?
It's true. Yeah,
you're not happy to first pick it though. I don't think it gets a point, but
no. So
contributing towards the longest road.
Yeah, 3 other cards in Orplay Pangolin, Zookeeper Mechan, and Melded Moxite in the 3-drop slot.
But all of those are zeros. Yeah, I think
that's what I think. Yeah. They're not. I don't think there's anything negative in this deck. Maybe
is Moxite's close, right? But you don't want to flood out.
Might be negative. Yeah. Well, the other thing is that it's nice. You just want low curve stuff for Gene. Like you really want 1s and 2s to make Gene Pollinator good.
So are we giving Moxite? Are we keeping Moxite 0?
I think Moxite can stay 0.
Okay.
In the 3-drop slot, cards that I would give first pickable status to Warmaker Gunship, the rare spacecraft that deals damage equal to the number of artifacts you control.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if, I think a lot of people would say Larval Scoutlander is first pickable. I don't know if I'm there. That's the 3-drop or the 3-mana artifact spacecraft that sacks a lander and gets 2 lands.
I think that's first pickable.
Okay, so those 2. And then we've got Tanuk, Memorial Ensign, the red-green signpost, and Tezzeret.
Tanuk is first pickable, like in the context of this deck. Like pack 2, pick 1, you'd be thrilled to pick a Tanuk. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like I think that gets the point here.
Okay.
Like pack 1, pick 1, no, probably not. But it is one of the more powerful cards in your deck.
So is Tezzeret, but Tezzeret's not a first pickable card.
Sure it is.
Okay, great. So I got 4 first picks in this column. And I think if we wanted to make a negative, the negative card would be Thawbringer. The 2 and a
Oh
green
yeah.
4/2.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
Thawbringer
Thought
is a card that just like whatever doesn't really matter. And then in the 4 drop slot, like I said, double Landseeker, double Orbital Plunge, double Survey Mechan, and Sammy Ship's Engineer, the red-white signpost.
Okay, so
What's first pickable
plus
there?
two for the orbital plunges. The
Uh huh.
Mechans you like. Are you first picking Mechans?
I am. I think Mechan is first pickable.
Okay, so that's I think 4 from there. I don't think we count Sammy
Yeah.
Ship's Engineer. And the
No.
Land Seekers don't count as first
No.
pickable, right? No.
No.
But they're not negative.
And then Territorial Bruntar is the last card, the 6 mana 6/6 reach. And honestly, you could tell me that is a 0. You could tell me that's -1.
I think
I don't
that's a
feel that.
0. I think
Okay.
that's 0. You got a lot of landfall stuff going on, and then Kavaron is definitely first pickable. That's the red mythic
Kavaron.
land.
Yep. Okay, so what's the tally here?
So the tally is, I mean, we stretched a little bit with first pickable cards, I think,
Uh-huh.
but the tally is 12 -1 for the Thawbringer brings you to 11. But
And
only,
then what?
only one -1 is big.
Only one -1 is big. Well, that was because I was trying to do this under the lens of a couple decks, and I kept being so generous to myself. I'm like, I'm such a good deck builder. Like, look at all these cards that belong. So I don't want to give them 0.
That's what I kept thinking is like, I'm always gonna think my decks don't get any negative numbers.
Right. So it's interesting. But the broader point, and I think this will bring us to the joint exploration conversation and just talking about, I don't know, how to draft this format and maybe how to draft all formats, is that I started doing this yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, but definitely yesterday when I was streaming. So instead of doing the thing that I usually do in draft, which is, okay, I'm going to identify what the best card in the pack is. And then on subsequent picks, I identify 2 cards. What is the best card that goes with what I've drafted? And what is the best card in a vacuum? And what's the like gap between those? Instead of doing that, I just started going through packs and saying, what are the first pickable cards?
Ooh, okay.
So rather than ranking and whatever, just what are the first pickable cards? And doing that, I mean, sometimes you've got 6 of them, and then you have to really dial in on, okay, well, what do I think is better, or what are my color preferences, whatever. But on subsequent picks, I just, rather than saying like, okay, what goes best with what I've drafted, I was just like, are there any first pickable cards here? And if there are, I need a real good reason to not be taking a first pickable card. And I just like never put myself in a position where I was allowing myself to pass first pickable cards and take not first pickable cards.
That's how I draft. That's like definitely how I draft.
That's not how I draft. And I think we'll talk about this, but that has felt very freeing to me in this format. I don't know if that's how I will feel that I want to do that in all formats, but I definitely like it in Edge of Eternities.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because there's such a disparity among packs in this format. Like, are we done? Are we done pokering it up? Are we transitioning to Sanctum of All? Because I kind of want to put one more deck under this lens.
Let's poker again. Which one do you want to do?
Okay, so this draft was pretty messy, and while it was happening, all of pack 1, I had already read this yesterday, and I was just thinking, like, I was in the first pickable cards mindset also. And I think we should dial into for people, like, as a way to shortcut first pickable, because I think both you and I know what we mean by first pickable cards, and like everybody else does too. But like, how does a person know if a card's first pickable or not? Like, let's say they're not as experienced of a drafter as we are or whatever. I think probably B- or higher, like on the LR grading scale.
Yeah,
is basically what we're talking about.
Yes.
And so all of pack 1 for this draft was rough. Like, there were just no good cards. And I did not feel great about this deck at the end of it. And I think you'll see that in the number grading scale. But not because I didn't draft well, but because the packs were truly just atrocious. And I think I did really well to end up with this deck out of that. So to give you a broad description of the deck before we go into card by card with this poker system, it's sloppy Sultai.
Blackjack, please. Blackjack. Because Blackjack's not poker, please.
I agree. I'm sorry to insult poker by calling it Blackjack poker.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, our Blackjack Jack of Al. This is sloppy Sultai, heavy green, and a little bit of blue and a little bit of black, which is not really where you want to be. If I had to peg base 2 colors, base blue green, but like, so already with that description, we're probably getting some minuses here.
It's a little messy, yeah.
Yeah. So Gene Pollinator in the 1-drop slot, I think gets a 0.
It's a 0.
We need the mana fixing. In the 2-drop slot, Biomech Engineer gets a point.
Yep.
Ilvoy Operative, I think, gets a -1. It is strictly there because we need a 2-drop. That's the blue 2/1. Intrepid Tenderfoot, probably a 0. I've really liked Intrepid Tenderfoot in green decks.
Yeah.
There's double Biosynthic Burst, which I think both get -2. Not because we don't like the card, but because truly, like, you want it in a pretty proactive deck, and this deck has just no plan at all.
Correct.
I think largely.
And that's the end of the 2-drop slot. And I think based on that, you with no other ones and only 3 2-drops, you could make a case that
does Gene also get a -1?
Is a negative because it isn't really doing the thing in this deck.
Okay, so -3, and I think this is going to make your deck look a lot better. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and then in the 3-drop slots, we're already at -4. Then if we give Ilvoy Operative, Biosynthetic Burst, and Gene Pollinator, so we have 1 positive in Biomech, and we're a net total of -3. We have 4 negatives, 1 positive. Both Galactic Wayfarers in the 3-drop slot get a +1.
Mm-hmm.
Nanoform Sentinel, I think, is a 0. There's a lot of spacecraft in here. Nanoform Sentinel really belongs. Mm-hmm. There's Double Thawbringer, which again I think gets -2 for both copies. Other than you could say, like, the best thing you could say about Thawbringer is that it's got 4 power to crew spacecraft with, but that's about it. Yeah, that we've got going on. Double Diplomatic Relations. I do have a lot of creatures with a lot of power, so I think +2 for my 2 copies of Diplomatic Relations.
Though I will ask, are you happy to first pick Diplomatic Relations? Because I am not.
I mean, not thrilled, but I think in the context of this, it is a B- level removal spell. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
I
can't be getting 0s for my Diplomatic Relations.
Right, and I think to that point, like, if we're gonna, I think we're adding a layer of context and subjectivity to it. Where if we're gonna call Gene Pollinator Gene Pollinator isn't really a -1, but I think in the context here it is, and Diplomatic Relations isn't really a +1, but in the context of this deck, it is.
Right. That's why I think this system is so beautiful, because it's a very quick, clear way to say, like, I think Diplomatic Relations is a +1 in this deck. You might have thought it was 0. Or, like, I initially said Gene Pollinator was a 0. And then we were like, no, it's actually a -1. So, like, it's a quick way to dial in on where you're different and then have a conversation about why. Like, I think this opens up a lot of dialogue about decks, which is really cool for me.
And I feel like deck building or like deck evaluation might be of drafting, gameplay, and deck building. I kind of feel like deck building is the least discussed or least dialed in thing in terms of
it's the most important / most underserved segment of limited podcasting, I think.
Wait, because, like, I don't know, there's a lot of subjectivity to what are your 20 through 23rd includes going to be. A lot of, like, you know, if you have all things being equal, if you're like, I'm picking between these few cards. But I think this broader idea will help to perhaps equip people with the tools to be able to be like, I thought this deck, like, would have performed better, but under this lens, I actually realize it's just a 5.
Well, or, like, you also get, like, I'm pretty sure this deck's good, but it 1-3'd, and then if you put your deck under this lens and it's like a 15 or whatever, you just like, ran into some other high number decks or got unlucky or got land screwed or whatever. I think this can give some quick, like, and it doesn't take very long. You can do it in a minute or 2 and give somebody a number and then, like, start to have a discussion if you want to. Okay, so we're into the 4-drop slot. We're currently at -1 after our 1, 2, and 3 drops. Which also, like, there's some multipliers for, like, is the bottom of your curve good? Like, because that matters, like a longest road style award. Like, I think there's room for that type of stuff here. And we never gave a synergy award to your deck either. I do think your deck gets some sort of a
synergy.
I have a lot of 0s or not. Like, if you have, I think a good way to do it would be if there is. So my deck already has 6 -1s, right? So I don't think we can call my deck synergistic. Like, if you have whatever the number is, 2 or fewer -1s, you get a positive synergy bonus or whatever, or maybe it's only 1. Like, but with trying to find that.
The reason I'm realizing right now in the moment why you love this so much is because this is as close as you're going to get to an MTG auto battler.
No, no, no,
Is
no, no,
what
no,
you're
no,
doing right
no.
now is drafting and then assigning a value, and then you just get to go, excellent, I got a 14. Next draft, please.
No, 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 no. I mean, I do like the idea of, I think, comparing decks this way, but I think it's super functional. But the thing I love the most about it is it's quick, it's efficient, like it communicates efficiently while also generating tons of discussion. I
Yeah.
miss talking about magic cards without 17 lands being involved, and I think this is a really good way to do that.
Well, because yeah, very interesting if like we both look at a deck and we're like, what's the number? That'd be a fun game for future pods.
Yeah,
Is
that I
like,
agree. That
what number do you
we're
give this
doing that
deck?
during Lords Unlimited. Don't you worry.
Oh, great, great, great. But that like if we come up with if they're like, I think it's a 10, and I'm like, I think this is a 4, like
And then
wildly
talk about
different. Yeah.
why. Yeah.
Like, whoa, 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 what happened here? Okay. Yeah, yeah. Cool.
Okay, so we're in the 4-drop slot. Drix Fate Maker, -1, does not belong at all. There's no no +1/+1 counter synergy anywhere. Ice Cave Crasher's a 0. I think that's the 4/4 trample. Tapestry Warden's a 0. I think that's the 4/4
Well,
vigilance. What?
but you have the Wombo combo.
Of
Entropic Battle Cruiser
oh
attacking as a 10/10.
I said Tapestry Warden's a 0. It doesn't get a point
Okay.
for that.
Okay, that's fair.
Tapestry
Okay.
Warden's a 0. Entropic Battle Cruiser is a 1. If you had asked me that after like 2 days of playing this format, I would have told you were insane. But you've turned me around on Entropic Battle Cruiser. I really like that
And
card.
we will get pushback. Like people will not think that that is a 1, and that's fine. But like we here on Lords of Limited believe that Entropic Battle Cruiser is busted.
Yes. Uthro Scanship, I also think is a 1. I would feel
Mm-hmm.
fine first picking that. Perigee Beckoner normally would say like a 0, maybe even close to a 1, but like I have literal no synergy with it here other than warping it and crewing a spacecraft. So maybe that's enough to make it a 0.
I mean, you do have what? You have 3 spacecrafts. Yeah,
It's
maybe. I
probably a
mean,
-1 if we're being honest.
we're gonna get to this, I think, because like we're calling Entropic Battle Cruiser a 1. I guess your mana is pretty. You have the
My mana's
2
good.
Wayfarers. Your mana's okay. Your mana's
I
okay.
have Gene, Biomech, and double Galactic Wayfarer.
Yeah, it's okay. All
I
right.
had no problems casting my cards. Well, that's not true. I had an opener where I had like 2 swamps and 5 green cards, but whatever.
Okay.
So 5-drop slot, Perigee Beckoner, I think probably a -1. Void Forge Titan's like a 0, but it's not great in this
I
deck.
think it's a -1.
You
Void
think it's a
Forge
-1?
Titan. I just don't think it's
So
even
many
that good.
negatives.
Sorry, I just don't. I definitely don't think it's splash worthy because like even in base black decks, sometimes Titan isn't that good.
Sure. Dirgecraft, also a -1. Caesarian Dirgecraft, that's the 4/3 target player
Yeah.
sacks a non-token creature. Lash Whip Predator in the 6-drop slot, I do think is first pickable. I'm going to give myself a point there. And Weft
I agree.
Walking, also first pickable. So we had not 9 first pickable cards and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So like this deck gets a -2. Like your red deck's looking real good after
That's true.
like
That's true.
it didn't get any negatives. And the thing I fall into with my decks, I think where this is going to help me is I love drafting. And so each one of my decks is a precious little snowflake to me. Like I liked this deck. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this gives me an objective way to say, yeah, you might have drafted well, but this deck ain't good. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like kind of feeling okay about this deck. And when you look at it under that lens, you're like, no, this deck's pretty rough.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a cool system. I'm curious to put it out to the masses and see what sort of feedback we get and maybe what iterating happens on it in the future. But is this canon now? Are we just doing this? We're
I,
like, so I
I
had
am
this deck. This deck was an absolute 13, and
I listen, we've done crazier things on Lords of Limited. I think this is super good. I am going to be using this going forward. I don't care if anyone else does. I think this is an amazing tool.
awesome. Okay, so could we now segue into the joint exploration Sanctum of All stream conversation?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'll link the Twitch VOD in the show notes if people want to follow along. But this was Jason, Ryan, and Maura from Team Sanctum of All reviewing Ryan's Day 2 draft from the Arena Open. And the draft log as well, I'll link if you don't want to watch the conversation. It's quite a long review, so understandably if you don't have the time, but it's an excellent discussion. And Ryan's draft is tricky. And I think save for a few spots, which I wouldn't like dicker and deal that much about, I'm largely in agreement with the picks Ryan makes. And I very much like Ryan is an excellent player and drafter. I very much respect their approach to limited. And like, I'm not shocked. I feel great that I agree with a lot of their picks. And I'm not shocked that I find Ryan's navigation of this draft to be pretty perfect, if not near perfect, if not perfect.
Okay, however, great. So are we gonna go through each pick of the draft? Or are we gonna dial in on this one specific spot?
I was just thinking of dialing in on the one specific spot. We can go through the draft. What do you think? What do you want to do?
I think it will be, because it's such a nuanced thing, I think it would be helpful to see how we got there.
Okay.
And I don't think we need to go like hardcore on each pick, but just like give people a quick story, a little 5-minute journey here.
All right. So pack one, pick one. I think a clear Sunstar Lightsmith, the 3 and a white 3/3 double spell, get a counter and draw a card.
Yes, nothing else in consideration.
Pack one, pick two. They get past Mutinous Massacre, the 3 black, red, choose odd or even, kill those, gain control of everything else for a turn.
Interesting. I think I would not take that here. I think I would take Depressurize personally.
Yeah. Which I think is defensible in the context of like, you'd want to play Lightsmith or whatever, but I don't want to get too much in the weeds of like what, and I have had varying success with the sweepers with Mutinous Massacre specifically. And so perhaps I don't know if I would take it, but I trust Ryan's judgment of this card.
You're coming around to big sweeper though. I had sent a deck pick in my Discord DMs the other day that said, what props to big sweeper or sweeper doubters in shambles or something, and had not one, not two, but 3 sweepers. 3.
Yeah, I had 2 of the blue-black sweepers, the Singularity Disruption and 1 0-point ballad. And what I learned by playing blue-black control with multiple sweepers was that when you're paired against blue-black, they also have one, if not multiple copies of the blue-black sweeper, which was an interesting thing. I had a game where I cast Singularity Disruption on an empty board to
mill them.
To turn the decking race in my favor. Like they had 10 cards in their library and I had 8, and I was like, all right, I'll cast this, mill you for 5. Now I'm winning the decking race.
Sounds like some great magic.
It was great. Okay, so Ryan takes Mutinous Massacre here. Pack on pick 3. They take All Faith's Scroll, trying to tie the room together and ramp up to this black-red spell. Yeah, I think you're saying
over a Zoo Effete Osteoharmonist here. 1 black 2/3 tap, return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That is crazy to me. Is Zoo Effete not that good?
It's a little crazy to me. I think Zoo Effete, it's a combo of Zoo Effete is not that good. I think they're probably also pretty high on All Fate Scroll. But the conversation they had on the stream was that, yeah, they've been pretty underwhelmed by Zoo Effete. And I could kind of see it, especially in base black decks. Like, you're just getting back, like, when you get back Perigee Beckoner, sure. But a lot of black stuff is like you're getting back a 1/1, a 2/1. And yes, that's not nothing, but I don't think it's busted.
I would take Zoo Effete here. To me, that's like a giant gap in power level, but maybe I'm overrating Zoo Effete.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And it might be a sort of thing where it's like, well, we've got power already in Lightsmith and Massacre, but want to tie those together with All Fate Scroll. I don't know.
I've also played against All Fate Scroll quite a bit, and the game really has to go a certain way for you to be able to spend an entire turn drawing 4 cards. And like some of that is like how to make All Fate Scrolls. You really have to build a deck that is capable of taking a turn off to draw 4 cards or whatever in the late game.
I agree. I've played it a lot this week and cracked it very seldomly. I'm like just truly playing uncommon Manolith, which like gets the job done some amount of the time. But it's interesting that I'm not really cashing this in for cards that often. Okay, so Lightsmith, Massacre, All Fate Scroll, grabs an Orbital Plunge, pick 4 as a removal spell. I think you can make the case for Plunge versus maybe Night Luminary in this pack as the other first pickable card in my mind. Pick 5 grabs a Decode Transmission card draw spell in black. Pick 6, love to see a Grav kill here.
Yeah, that feels great. And you're pretty much off the Sunstar Lightsmith at this point mentally, for me anyway.
I would think so, but then a pick 7 Focus Fire comes into focus a little bit, though you can just make a case that Focus Fire is like a totally fine splash off the All Fate scroll if you're trying to do some landers and stuff. I think Focus Fire is a really good splash card. I think that's probably why I'm so high on Focus Fire. Like, it's not that I don't play it in base white decks, but it's just such a good splash whenever you want to splash that, like, I just really like that card. Rounds out the pack, pick 8, a Swarm Color, the 2/4 flyer, Hull Carver, the 1/1 Death Touch, Auxiliary Boosters, the Equipment, Temporal Intervention, the Discard Spell, Virulent Silencer, the Poison card, and Caveron Skywarden, the 4/5 Reach Kavu. So pretty, I don't know, like, where are you at the end of pack 1 here?
At the end of pack 1, I'm thinking I'm largely likely to be base black-red. I think green and blue have not been open, and if I'm not black-red, I expect to be somewhere in the Mardu colors.
Yeah. And then pack 2, pick 1.
And like desperately want to get the bottom of my curve filled.
Yeah.
We're struggling there.
So yeah, struggling at the bottom of the curve and want to kind of lock in air quotes. So pack 2, pick 1. There's another Orbital Plunge, another Focus Fire, and another Sunstar Lightsmith, as well as a Beyond the Quiet, the 3 white sorcery, exile all creatures and spacecraft.
I don't like this Sunstar Lightsmith pick here. I think I would take Orbital Plunge myself. Like the way pack 1, like I think if we wanted to play our first Sunstar Lightsmith, we were supposed to take Depressurize, pack 1, pick 2. And I think when we didn't do that, we said we don't really want to be white that much. So I don't like dipping back into white here. Like after essentially letting ourselves get pushed off white in pack 1, I would want to take Orbital Plunge. Because I think Plunge is good. Like Plunge does everything you want for Mutinous Massacre. It's going to keep the board clear. It's going to ramp you towards Mutinous Massacre. It's going to keep the board clear for All Fate Scroll to let you tank back up. It's going to let you play multiple different land types for All Fate Scroll. I don't like this pick. Pack 2, pick 1.
Great. Well, apologies to Ryan. Ryan does not know they're catching strays here. So this was not my intention for putting this draft log here. Apologies. I think the Lightsmith pick is totally fine. But I kind of agree, like, with I'm less about the Depressurized pick and more about not taking Night Luminary pick 4, but I feel like we're too much in the weeds now for what I really want to do, which is dial in on pack 2, pick 3. So pick 2, get a Possibility Technician, the rare Kavu, the 2 and a red 3/3. When it or another Kavu enters, you exile the top card of your library, and for as long as you control a Kavu, you can play that card. What I didn't realize about this rare is that the card gets the Kavu text. Like, this can die, another Kavu comes into play later, and then it reactivates that card in exile.
Whoa. That is not intuitive to me at all.
No, not for me either. I don't quite understand how rules work in Magic, but that is how that card works. Okay, so in the Mardu space, and actually at this point, the 17 lands guesser has the possible main deck as black-white, and the 4 red cards as the likely sideboard, which makes this pick all the more interesting. So pack 2, pick 3, you're in this Mardu space, Mutinous Massacre, double Lightsmith, whatever. Pack 2, pick 3, there is a Bombard, 2 and a red, deal 4. There is a Caveron Harrier, the single red 2/1. When it attacks, you can pay 2. If you do, you make a 2/2 colorless artifact robot that's tapped and attacking, and sacrifice it at end of combat. There's Edge Rover, single green, 2/2 reach. When it dies, each player creates a lander token. And Mouth of the Storm, 6 and a blue, 6/6 flyer, ward 2. When it enters, creatures your opponents control get -3, -0 until your next turn. Now, you said blue and green aren't open, so you might be wondering why I'm shouting out blue and green, but this was sort of the crux, and I think they were as surprised as I was that this was the pick that they really dialed in on in this draft. Jason really pushed back against Ryan's selection of Caveron Harrier here, the red 2/1. And I think to your point earlier where you were like, well, I really want to get the bottom of my curve sorted here. I'm sure that's part of what uh, Ryan was thinking at this point. And it's a
But
one drop.
even if you put Cabaron Harrier in the 1-drop slot here, it's going to be -1. Like, it does not belong.
Well, and that was very much Jason's point. And so Jason had this really excellent argument of like, look, here's the deal about Cabaron Harrier is that I don't think it's a very good card, and it's only good in a very small subset of red decks. And that subset of red decks is not likely to be the red deck you're drafting at this point. Like if you end up in this big Mardu Mutinous Massacre deck, Cabaron Harrier is not going to fit. And so the world in which Cabaron Harrier makes your deck is a world where red is cut and you are playing this card begrudgingly. And if that is the world you're living in, that means another color is likely to be open for you if red is cut. And instead of taking a -1, as you're calling it, as we're calling it under the Blackjack lens here, in Cabaron Harrier, take a potential +1 in another card. And if that happens to work out, like if you take Mouth of the Storm, Mouth of the Storm makes more sense to me because you got All Faith Scroll, and like I think of splashable cards as being higher mana value. Jason was arguing for Edge Rover, and actually, weirdly enough, by taking Edge Rover here, green mediums is kind of open. And Ryan was like, am I supposed to get into it? And he's like, that's how you get into it, is you speculate on Edge Rover and then you just take some green cards and you can get there. But I don't want to get caught. I mean, we can get caught in the weeds of what the actual picks are here and what follows up the Edge Rover. But for me, the thing that really like put a light bulb, because I would never in a million years have taken a blue or a green card in this spot. After taking all, like if I have all of Brian's picks, I'm never taking a blue or green card here. But after hearing what Jason was saying and thinking about my own like evaluations of things and starting to do this, what are the first picks in the packs? Like I feel a lot more freed by identifying like, hey, there's 2 first pickable cards in this pack and they're blue and they're green. Am I allowed to take them? Am I allowed to end up with as many first pickable cards in my deck as possible? And I'm not arguing for having these 5-color soup decks, but I will say that like when I was drafting yesterday and doing this, and I was in an open color pair for my seat, it's incredible to go pick 6. There's 1 first pickable card and it's in my color and I get to take it. Pick 7. There's 1 first pickable card. It's in my colors. I get to take it. Like that just feels like you're drafting in a different space than other people who are scrapping together things or taking whatever. And obviously drafts don't always work out that power level wise, but I think this, like, if you're really vigilant about thinking about what are the B- or above cards in this pack, and am I allowed to take one of them? And the more you can answer yes to that, the better your decks are going to be.
Yes, I generally agree with that. I do want to get into the weeds here, and I'm glad that I'm glad. Like I think the concept behind the discussion is great, and I very much subscribe to that, and it's very much how I draft. The question I want to ask here is, pack 2, pick 3. There's also a Bombard in the pack. Why are we so down on Bombard?
It's not good. I just don't think it's very good. Like,
but
I can't say why not Bombard versus Cabaron Harrier. I don't know. Bombard might be better, but I think even if we replace the pick with Bombard versus Mouth and Edge Rover, I think the argument is still the same, which is that the power level gap here is pretty massive in my mind. Like Bombard is, this is maybe not a good argument, but Bombard is what, the 9th best red common, 8th best red common.
Doof. To hate this argument.
Okay, is that not a good argument? What's a good argument?
I also don't think it's that far down. Like, but rather than like talking about where Bombard is in red, like to me, looking at the cards we've taken so far.
Just to be clear, yes. That's my own personal,
your own personal ranking, not the 17 lands.
I'm not invoking any other spreadsheets, but my own brain. Please
appreciate that caveat.
Okay.
If we're talking about where Bombard wants to go, it's exactly this style of deck. Like if we ignore, let's say we Because I think there's a world where you just drafted Black Red after taking Mutinous Massacre and you didn't spec on the Sunstar Lightsmith. Pack 2,
Mm-hmm.
pick 1, and you took Orbital Plunge, and then you take Possibility Technician, and now you've got Bombard, and you're a Black Red, kill all your stuff, grind out card advantage deck with. You've got like Bombard makes decode transmissions better. Bombard makes all fates scroll better. Bombard makes it more likely that you're going to get to a point where you can Mutinous Massacre. I just think it does. It is very unintuitive to me. Like, if Bombard weren't in this pack, sign me up for taking Edge Rover or Mouth of the Storm. Like, I'm there for that. But Bombard being in the pack, there's not that much of a power level gap. And if I were to take one of those two cards, it would be to try to splash Mouth of the Storm, I think, rather than like abandon ship on what is either like a very good red black deck, a very good black white deck. I do think the odds that we end up green here are next to none. And there's a card that, like, removal's not easy to come by in the Arena Opens, and we've got a chance to pick up another on-color removal spell here.
I feel like
that's my reasoning.
I just feel like I'm being put in a fairly awkward spot here to like try and defend
your
Ryan's thought process in the time, and then Jason and Ryan's and Maura's conversation on stream, and my own like sort of. So I'm not going to try and do that. Like, I hear your statement. I will say Bombard is not. I just like our evaluations of Bombard are different. I think Bombard is in an extremely clunky spot on the curve. I've even felt this with Invasive Maneuvers. The 1 in a red, deal 3 uncommon, deals 5 if you have a spacecraft instead. If you don't unlock that to deal 5. That spot on of 2 mana deal 3, 3 mana deal 4 is just not quite good enough in my mind. Like, once we're creeping up, like, I either want my really efficient, cheap 1 mana removal, I want my Focus Fire, I want my sometimes Plasma Bolt or my Tragic Trajectory, or I want my Grav Kill or my Orbital Plunge to like just know that I'm gonna kill the thing, period. And the stuff in the middle has felt not good to me.
I hear that. And to that point, especially like the red deal 2 or deal 3, if you trigger Void, that card is unplayable. Like, it's really bad.
See, that's very interesting. I think Plasma Bolt is better than Bombard. And I don't like either of those cards a lot, but I would rather have Plasma Bolt than Bombard. Just for like the sheer fact that Plasma Bolt can kill a 2-drop for 1 mana, can kill the Gene Pollinator and just get it off the board, whatever. And Bombard just sort of struggles to do
anything well. That's how you feel about Bombard. You feel the Bombard struggle. Yeah. Okay. That's helpful to dial in on. But I agree. That is not the point of this conversation. The point of the conversation is, or the reason to take a look at this draft is to dial in this pick in the discussion that was had about the specific pick, where you should be more willing to take aggressive chances on powerful cards that are low percentage to make your deck versus cards that are going to be bad in your deck if they end up in your deck.
Well, and one of the things I was talking to Ryan about was that they were saying that Jason has a sort of larger argument stance, and forgive me, Jason, if I'm just sort of shortcutting this or whatever, but that like signals are fake, just draft the good cards. And for someone who is as good at limited and as smart as Jason is, that probably seems obvious to it, right? To be like, let's just do that. But I think Ryan does a good job in this video and in my discussion with him to try and unpack what Jason is trying to say and dial in on it. And for me, I think my takeaways or my thoughts or how it resonated with me is that I feel like signals become clear enough in this format, and I'm rarely like hard forcing. Like, if I pack one, pick one, something I really want to play, like, yeah, I'm giving it weight, but that doesn't happen that much. That like, I'm fine to abandon first picks. I'm fine to like take the draft as it comes to me. And I'm much more just taking the best card out of each pack for a bit longer than I normally do. I don't know if I'd be willing to take it to this extreme of pack 2, pick 3. I'm in Mardu exclusively. I'm going to take Edge Rover first. But I think it's more about, my takeaway from this was, it's less about what you should take out of the pack and more about what you shouldn't take. And I hadn't done the sort of leaps of logic of, I had just sort of been like, oh, I've got to take a card that's in the colors we've been drafting. Let's take Caveron Harrier. But if you do that thought exercise that Jason did of like, if Caveron Harrier makes our deck, we're not happy, and that means that red wasn't
Correct.
open. And if all of that is true, let's get ahead of that and do something else that might end up being true, which is take Edge Rover and green is open, or take Mouth of the Storm and we splash it in our Mardu deck.
Right. Like the gameplay equivalent or the gameplay analogy is making a play that feels good but leaves you dead on board. Like you put your like you swing out and put your opponent to 2, but you definitely lose, versus like giving yourself a 0.5% chance to win or whatever. Like you want to give yourself that 0.5% chance to win.
Correct. Yeah. And we sort of talked about a draft, like a pick like this on Lords Unlimited last week with Jared, because he and I had done this draft. And I sort of walked you through it. Like pack one, pick one, we took a Servandum, the white black signpost. Pick 2, we grabbed Code Cracker Hound. Pick 3, Virus Beetle. And then pick 4, we had the choice between Mechan Navigator, the 2/1 that when it's tapped you loot, Night Luminary, the 3/2 that makes a 1/1, and Susurian Voidborn, the 2 in a black 2/2 that cares about creatures or artifacts dying on your side. And I think both of us just came to the same conclusion, but different cards, which is just like, I just want to take the best card. You think it's Mechan Navigator. I thought it was Night Luminary. But like that's where I'm at. I'm like basically just not giving any weight to anything in those sequence of picks. I'm just like, okay, pack one, pick 4, wipe the slate clean. What's the best card?
Yeah,
And then if there's multiple first pickable cards, you maybe make some tiebreakers or some preferences. But I think if you're the base level there, I don't want to be making concessions and picks in this format like almost ever.
Yeah, I think that's because this format offers clear delineations in power, like power and not power, or really good power versus kind of power. Like there's very clear gaps of tiers of cards. And I think if going down a tier of card to stay a color or something is a pretty huge hit, in my opinion.
I agree. Do you any other thoughts? I feel like I've been monologuing a lot about this concept. I feel like I've had a bit of a born again drafter experience this week, like with this and the blackjack thing, and just I feel like I'm seeing a level up moment, and I haven't had a level up moment in a while.
No, it's great. It's exciting. I love the blackjack thing. Would love to make that part of the show going forward, and love to have discussions about blackjack numbers of decks. I think this specific draft and the concept that's coming from it is, I think, something I do pretty like naturally when I draft. But I agree. I think when I watch you draft or when I draft with you, I feel like you have a tendency to be fairly rigid in your like best card, next best card, like but not rigid, but like narrow in how you look at packs. Like you've got your plan, the process, and you follow the process. Like trust the process.
Yes,
and I think it's great if this is a little more free flowing and opens up freedom for you, because like somehow you're very your drafting style is very process oriented, but also you go down road, like while following that process, you go down roads I wouldn't go down. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I feel like when I draft, I'm a lot more free flowing. Like I don't move cards into the sideboard nearly as aggressively as you do. Like you have a tendency, I think, to more than I do, which is maybe why this is so freeing for you. You really, while you're drafting, in my opinion, try to build your deck while you're drafting. And anything you think is not currently in your deck mentally goes in the sideboard. Like you're very rigid about what's in my deck right now and what's in my sideboard. And like I just lay it all out there. And I just want to see, because I'm much more, I think, likely to push down a road because I see a late Mouth of the Storm or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I will defend my building my deck as I draft till I die, like I think it's a really good system and gives me clarity, but okay, go ahead.
I agree. I know you like your system. Yes, thank you. I know you like your system, but I think your system leads you to never take Edge Rover or Mouth of the Storm in that spot in the draft.
Correct.
That Jason, and if you're more willing to have that as a possibility, I think it's a great addition to your current system.
Yes. Yeah. I think it will free me up. And I don't know if I want to do that in every format, because I agree. I think I'm more rigid And because and one of the things I really like to do is draft synergistically and draft like, oh, and this works with this and this works with this. So I'm more inclined to take hits in power level based on that, because I'll be like, yeah, this isn't great, but in the context of this deck, it really can be. But I think then I do that as a detriment to the ultimate blackjack number value I can get on my deck at the end of the draft, you know?
Maybe, but I mean the your deck that we took a look at versus my deck that we took a look at was not close to close.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, let's end things here by we'll do a quick little draft log review here. Pack 1, pick 1. I wonder what you're going to take out of this pack. Okay, pack 1, pick 1. You see the following cards as options: Banishing Light, Glacier Godmaw, 5GG, 6/6 trample, make a landfall, everything gets +1/+1, Vigi, and haste. Mechan Navigator, 1 of the blue, 2/1. When it becomes tapped, draw a card, then discard a card. And the rare is Diadrin Synthesis Amalgam, X green white, 0/1 trample. Enters with a number of counters on it equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it. And whenever you attack, you can remove a counter from each of 2 creatures you control. If you do, draw a card and make a 2/2 robot.
You'll be happy to know that I'm in agreement with you, and we'll be slamming Glacier Godmaw. Pack 1, pick 1 here.
Phew. Okay. Pack 1, pick 2.
Also, I played way too late with this card in the format. I played against it some, but played with it in the sealed pool I had for this this qualifier Pro Tour thing. I had 2 copies of it, and it feels very good. Also, now after playing with it and not just against it, I also understand how embarrassing it was for the Lords of Limited podcast that we didn't shout it out in that. I don't know if it was week 1 or week 1.5, that draft log review that we did on the podcast when we were in our anti-green phase.
We're still there. Don't worry about it. Pack 1, pick 2. There, in terms of green cards, there aren't any, and I feel like I want to stop doing that. What are the first pickable cards? Is Depressurize a first pickable card? Maybe. Yeah. It's borderline. But there's the clear first pickable card in my mind is Station Monitor, the white blue 2/2 double spell, make 1/1 flyers.
Yeah, that's the only card in consideration here. It is hands down the best card in the pack, not close to close.
So I take it, and I don't feel like. I don't know. Normally I'd be like, oh, I did like I want to play my Godmaw, or now I'm taking Station Monitor. I'm drafting something different. Just like, no, I'm not worried about it yet. I'm just taking the best card. Pack 1, pick 3. Kind of interesting here. There is a Gene Pollinator. There's a Focus Fire. And there is a Specimen Freighter, the 5 and a blue spacecraft that bounces 2 non-spacecraft things on ETB.
I kind of want to take Focus Fire here. Is that crazy?
I don't think it's crazy.
I feel like you've talked me up on Focus Fire quite a bit, and I've gotten savaged by it quite a bit lately.
I mean, Focus Fire is absurd. It's just really absurd. And if you have a way to splash it, or if you're any kind of defensive deck that is white, it's just so good. I don't hate taking Focus Fire here. I took Specimen Freighter because I thought it was just the best card, but you could sell me on Focus Fire. I think you could also sell me on Gene.
The thing I don't like about Gene is it closes off roots through the draft. Like, there's no world where Gene and Station Monitor end up in the same deck, and there is a world where you take Specimen Freighter or Focus Fire and pair them with Station Monitor, or abandon Station Monitor and pair Specimen Freighter or Focus Fire with Glacier Godmaw. I think Gene cuts off one of your 2 first picks, whereas the other 2 cards allow you to play either of your first 2 picks.
I don't agree, and spoiler, this deck does end up with Gene and Station Monitor in it.
Ooh.
No,
Let's
but
put it on the number system. Let's put it on the number system, baby.
We'll put it on the number system. All right, how many more picks you want to do? Because I basically just take green mediums the rest of the draft. So pack 1, pick 4. There is not a card that matters, or there's not a first pickable card, I should say.
I agree.
So I just took Thawbringer, the 2 and a green 4/2. I probably should have taken Tenderfoot, the 2-drop. But
Tenderfoot's better, yeah.
Tenderfoot's better. Pack 1, pick 5. There are no first pickable cards. Maybe Gravpack Monoist, but I don't think so. I took Drix Fatemaker, more green mediums. Pack 1, pick 6. You do see a first pickable card in Sunstar Lightsmith. And you take it, even though you're like, well, I've taken Like I feel like normally I might be like, oh, I'm deep in green. Let's just take Germinating Worm. That's a good card or something. But like,
Well,
no.
Sunstar Lightsmith is way better.
And then pick 7. Where have these cards been? There's a Banishing Light and a Survey Mechan. Also, it's Sammy's Curiosity for green mediums, splash, whatever. But after taking the Lightsmith, I'm thrilled to take Banishing Light. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can just fast forward here to the deck and let's put it on the number system. So this deck ends up base green white with some aggressive splashing, 4 blue cards, and a Sammy Ship's Engineer. But it's got the fixing. It's got a breeding pool and some ways to get landers and 3 gene pollinators.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So going down the 1-drop slot here.
Okay.
You've got triple genes, which are zeros.
They're zeros, I think.
They're zeros, and I think they qualify. You also have a nutrient block, which is a 0. You have a Sammy's Curiosity, which is a 0, and 3 2-drops. Like you've got enough to turn on the genes. I don't love them here. Like it's close to the same problem my deck had.
No, it's not even remotely close to the same problem.
Not even remotely close?
Your deck had 3 other things. You had 1 gene pollinator and 3 other things before 3 mana. I have 2. If I were counting my 1 gene pollinator, I have 2 other gene
6 other things.
I have nutrient block, Sammy's Curiosity, which makes a lander, and then 3 2-drops.
Okay, sure. All right. Not. I apologize. I apologize.
Close. Okay.
I apologize.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so the genes are zeros. The nutrient block's a 0. Sammy's Curiosity, 0. The double focus fire is 2 points in your favor.
Okay.
Starfighter
and the 2-drop
Pilot
slot. Yeah.
Starfighter Pilot is -1.
Except with 3 genes.
Yeah, but it's still -1, I think.
It's
like you can't be calling a 0 a 0 to make your other zeros.
Well, look, whatever. You want to feel better about your deck, that we can give Starfire Pilot a -1.
Okay. So -1, Station Monitor +1, Sunstar Chaplain, which is the 1 white 3/2 rare. At the beginning of end step, you control 2 or more tap creatures, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control, and then you can remove a counter from something to tap target artifact or creature. That card's absurd, and a +1 here. Also especially great with triple gene.
Yep.
Double Thawbringer, -2.
Yep.
Banishing Light, +1.
Yep.
All Fate Stalker, +1. Sunstar Lightsmith, +1. Sammy Ship's Engineer, are we giving that a +1 here? That's the red-white uncommon.
I love that card. It should probably not be in this deck, but we'll just give it a 0.
Okay,
we'll give it a 0.
Double Radiant Strike. Does that get +1 or 0? Does it get 0, right?
I think we can just give it a 0. Though I've been really impressed by this card in decks.
I also like it quite a bit.
I
think it's still a 0 though.
3 and a white instant, destroy target artifact or tapped creature, you gain 3 life. When you want the game to go,
it's closer to Grav Kill than you would think. Yeah.
Yeah. And the 3 life, it just took me so many times facing this. The 3 life is really what you're just like, ugh. You were at 6 and I was almost going to kill you, and now you're at 9 and I lose the game. Is like how this card swings games sometimes.
Let's give you 1 point for both.
Okay, sure.
We'll give each 1.5. We're already breaking the rules of the system here. Uthros Scanship,
yeah,
+1. Starfield Shepherd, gigantic +1.
Yeah,
that's great. Dawnstrike Vanguard, does that get a +1? That gets a 0, right?
I think it can be a 0. I mean, it's pretty absurd in this deck. Like the triple genes does.
The triple gene, yeah, all right. It gets +1 in this deck. The triple gene goes a long way here. Yeah. I apologize for my gene take. The genes are very good here.
Yeah.
Glacier Godmaw, clear +1. Mouth of the Storm, +1? You're not first picking Mouth of the Storm, right?
Yeah, you should be. Mouth of the Storm is really good.
Mouth of the Storm +1. Specimen Freighter.
I think +1, but maybe it's just a 0.
Maybe it's a 0. It's close. But regardless, you have a score of like +10 again. You get three -1s and 13 +1s, and probably some synergy bonuses here, like with the Gene Pollinators and the Sunstar Chaplain and the Dawnstrike Vanguard and the Sammy Ship's Engineer. Like there's definitely some synergy bonus going on.
Yeah. I mean, it's really like 4 genes because Starfield Shepherd goes and finds a gene.
It's really like 4 genes, honestly. Yeah.
It's really like 4
I
genes.
I like this system. I think the system works. I think it works, and I think it generates great discussion.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll leave it at that, and we'll see how the folks see how you like it. Oh my gosh, how do we keep forgetting? It has to be after the conversations with the 2 decks. Gene Pollinator has to be our fusiongamingonline.com/lords card of the episode.
Oh, has
Right?
to be. Has to
Yeah.
be. Yes.
Gene Pollinator. Is it a 0? Is it a -1? Is it ever a +1? Find
I
out
don't
at
think
Fusion
I don't think
Gaming.
it's ever I don't think it's ever a +1, but you can pick up your copies at fusiongamingonline.com. Also, we have to get a different title in here. In the pocket of Big Red ain't gonna work. This needs to be Blackjack something.
Okay. We'll figure it out.
I am championing this
You're
system.
so jazzed. I love it. I love to see it.
I am so jazzed. All right, and on that note, we're gonna wrap things up. Thank you as always to Salty Pretzels for our intro and outro music. Make sure you give it a listen.
You can find all our content on our website at lordsoflimited.com. We've got links to all of our stuff, really. Our episode backlogs, our YouTube channel, our Twitch streams, respectively, our merch, our Patreon, everything and anything you want at lordsoflimited.com.
If you've got any feedback about the show or any questions, shoot us an email at lordsoflimited@gmail.com.
Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you next week for another episode of Lords of Limited.
Thanks, everybody. See you later.